Hello. So, a bit later than advertised, sorry about that. Just going to talk about some of the questions I've been asked this week. The main questions that I've been asked are regarding implants under the muscle, which is a common one, get that a lot. And also, Kate, I think you've been in touch to talk about, you're worried about infection and implants. So, first of all, the muscle thing. Carolina, I don't know if you're out there, but I know that you're worried about whether you should have the implant on top of the or behind the muscle, and it's a tricky one, and one that I talk a lot about. And what I normally say is that there's no right or wrong with under or over the muscle. There's good and bad. A lot of people come to me and say, "Well, can I have the implants under the muscle, please, because they're more natural." So it's not strictly true that implants under the muscle are more natural. I don't know if that is written somewhere or I get it a lot of people say it, but if you have implants under the muscle, they can be held high and that doesn't look natural, or if you have, so you can get an unnatural look when they're under the muscle, but at the same time, the problem comes if you haven't got much covering over your chest, if you're very slim, and you haven't got much breast tissue, and you have the implants on top of the muscle, then that doesn't look natural because you can see the edges of the implant. So there is a reason for why implants would look more natural if they're under the muscle, but they don't necessarily look more natural just by the fact that they're under the muscle. So what I normally say is it's in the right person. When I say that, and so Carolina, you're worried about it. I think I've said I'd go on top of the muscle. You're worried that it might need to be under the muscle, and because I think you said you're worried that they're going to look rounded and look odd on top of the muscle. So the general principle is good and bad about both. If you put them on top of the muscle, it doesn't hurt as much, and the recovery's easier because it's obviously every time you move, it doesn't. You're not. When it's under the muscle, you're exercising the muscle. So when it's on top of the muscle, it's more comfortable, and also the implant sits with the breast, which means that gives it actually a more natural shape potentially when it's on top of the muscle. That is a natural thing if the implant's sitting with the breast, particularly if your breast sitting low. So if your breast's sitting low, then I would be more inclined to put the implant on top of the muscle because it sits with the breast. The problem with putting it on top of the muscle, as I say, if you're very slim, and especially if you can see your ribs, then you worry that you'll be able to see the implant or feel the implant and get rippling and things like that. So that's where the muscle comes in, because the muscle gives it an extra layer of cover, and so the muscles, it's less likely to see or feel it if you put it under the muscle. But the problem with putting it under the muscle is that it hurts more and the recovery is slower, because every time you move, you're exercising that muscle. Also, the muscle can hold the implant up high, which, as I say, doesn't look natural. Sometimes the muscle can hold it wide. If you've ever seen a really wide cleavage, that's usually in a submuscular placement of implants, which they haven't released the muscle properly because there's some what's called perforating blood vessels here, and some surgeons are worried about damaging those vessels. And if you don't release the muscle properly, here on the side, the muscle holds the implant to the side and gives this not very attractive wide cleavage. So that's at risk with under the muscle. Also, when you get you can get animation deformities, which means when you exercise, if you go to the gym, then every time you move your arm, because your breast, if you like, or at least your implant, it's underneath your pec muscle, every time you exercise your pec, the breast moves. It's called an animation deformity. So that a risk. Those are risks, thank you, for underneath the muscle. So it's a balance, and Carolina, in your case, I know you're coming back to before the surgery, and we'll talk about it in person, but if I think someone needs to have it underneath the muscle, then I would be wary about putting it over the muscle. Having said that, I did do that a few weeks ago. I had a patient who was adamant they wanted it on top of the muscle, and I thought they needed it under the muscle, and I did do it, and it was fine. So it just shows you there's no 100% in any of this stuff. I will answer you in a minute, Anna, I think. You've asked a question in Italian. But as a general rule, if I think you need it under the muscle, it's probably best to put it under the muscle. But if I think you need it on top of the muscle, like your case, Carolina, you're a borderline case. And if you want it under the muscle, then that's fine. I mean, I'll be guided by you. And I see my job as telling you the pros and cons of things. And at the end of the day, it's your body, and you have to take a balanced judgment on that. And if you want it under the muscle, then that's fine. And you're absolutely right. It's less likely you're going to get rippling and things if you put it under the muscle. So those are the good things about it, given the potential bad things. It's a balance. A lot of this stuff is all a balance. A lot of medicine. People think that. People think that doctors have got all the answers and know, what's going to happen, but things happen, side effects happen, problems happen. We don't know what, we just say usually this is the right medicine to take or the right course of action, but we're not, get it wrong sometimes, or not get it wrong, sometimes even if 90 patients are going to be benefited by having a treatment, 10 aren't, or 99 are and one's not. Just because one doesn't get benefited by that treatment doesn't mean you were wrong to give the treatment. It's just a complication, potential sort of side effect. So things happen, and that's life, and that's one of the things about practicing medicine, I guess. The other question was about that's from Kate. Kate's got implants in and is worried because she's got a cyst. I think it is an infected cyst nearby her breast or on her breast, and is worried that it's going to get to the implant. And the answer is then that could happen. An infection from the skin could get to the implant, so you have to keep an eye on that. It's unlikely because usually an infection in a cyst would be localized to the cyst and would not spread that deeply. And even if you've got a small breast, there'd be quite a long distance from the implant to the skin, so the infection would have to spread quite a lot, and you have to get what's called cellulitis, which means the surrounding skin would have to get pretty red and angry. But it's a potential that the cyst could cause the implant to get infected, so you need to not let that get out of hand. But I would think I would imagine it's just a case of going to get some antibiotics from your GP, and hopefully that infection on that cyst would sort itself out. More commonly with infection with an implant is when you get an infection around the wound, around the incision. That's what we worry about. That's why the sort of danger period for infection is the first week or two, because that's when the wound's healing, because the wound is sort of like a direct path from the skin to the implant. Having said that, there are 3 layers of sutures, so or at least I do 3 layers of closure over the implant, so it's not like a direct, and it's not like if the skin opens up you'll be able to see implant straight away. There's 3 layers there, so there's that. So that's the 2 questions I had. See that thing about the eBay implants? I've written a blog post about that. That lady who put her implants on eBay. It's got quite a lot of media coverage of that, but to be honest with you, I think it's just I don't know why she was doing it. I didn't really see the eBay posting, but I think she's had to take it down, or at least eBay have taken it down now. But I didn't think much of it, to be honest. But I think because I think maybe someone might want to buy implants because they're, and I guess if they're her implants, but I think the main worrying thing was that she was saying they were sterile or something. So I don't know if there was an implication there that someone can actually put the implants in someone else. So that I think is that then you've got an issue there. But you'd have to find someone to do it. But as I said in my blog post, anyone could do it. But I don't think she would find anyone to do it. The more worrying is stuff like the fillers, because the fillers you can buy on eBay, and anyone can and does inject it into people, and you hear all sorts of horror stories about that sort of stuff. I'm digressing a bit there. So Anna, I think does that quando venite a Napoli? Does that mean when are you visiting Naples? Is that what that means? Yeah, we do go to Naples I was going to say a fair bit then. We don't go to Naples a fair bit at all. We go to Naples once every couple of years probably, because I've got family in Capri, and we do go and visit them. But I don't know. I don't know if we're going to go this year. Our holidays are very much last minute. Is the way we plan stuff. So I might be coming to Naples this year to Capri to see the family, but I don't know. So thanks, Anna. Thanks for live asking a question. That's what it's all about. Any other live question asking about my holiday arrangements or anything else, maybe, plastic surgery even, questions would be gratefully received. I do hope no one's actually asking a question now, typing a question now, and I'm going to stop the thing, and then they get upset that I haven't answered it. If that happens, I think I will be able to see it afterwards, and I will pick it up next week. But I think those are the questions we've had today, this week. But if I have forgotten anything, then I will cover it next week. And if you think of any questions, or if anyone's got any questions, then please Facebook me, tweet me, email me, or Laura best, laura@stanleyplasticsurgery.co.uk, and I will answer them next week, this time, 7 o'clock. I think something next week, is it? I think next week's good. Yeah, I think next week's good. And I'm going to sign off now, and I will see you on the other side. Next week, I mean, not on the other side.